Okay, my friends, I'm going to show you why shooting a bow without a sight and shooting a bow with a sight is exactly the same thing. Now, I've drawn a little picture here, and you'll see that this is going to be our bow, and this is our hand, and you'll see that the arrow is on the right. Now, our hand is the shelf, so the arrow is on the right side of the shelf. Now, this is a bow with a shelf, and you'll see that it has a shelf and the arrow is on the right. Now, if you're aiming off your knuckle, you will see with this bow that the target is above the knuckle. It's on the left side. If you're using a bow with a sight, it will have a little post and there will be a little circle there for your sight, and it will be on the left, you see? So this bow, target on the left. This bow, target on the left. This bow, arrow on the right. This bow, arrow on the right. So it's exactly the same principle, only here you're mechanically moving a little circle over until it lines up with your target, and on this one you're just using your imagination, but you're putting the target right above the knuckle, right above the shelf, right above the shelf. So shooting a bow without a shelf or with a shelf, it's exactly the same principle once you realize this. So it's okay to hold that arrow over on the right and put your target on the left. Also, with a sight, the more you adjust a sight like this, the more that the sight goes to the right, the arrow goes to the left. Or if the sight goes up, the arrow goes down. This bow is the same thing. If you bring the target farther over your knuckle, the bow goes more to the right. So the more the target to the left, arrow to the right, it's exactly the same principle as with that bow. Okay? So that's just a way of simplifying things to think about it. And that's all you got to do. Anyhow, let's do a little bit of shooting. But that's a good principle. I think you can figure that out. Back in a minute. Okay, guys. Let's just take a couple of shots here. Today we're going to concentrate on our release. And we want to keep that release right on our face. To do that, we have to initiate the release by pushing the left hand forward. Otherwise, the right hand will fly backwards. If you're pulling with your muscles, it will fly backwards. To get your hand to plop on your face, you initiate it with the left hand. And it will just stay there. So there's a series of movements in archery. These steps, it's called your shot sequence. But I hold my head more square on these days. And it will just stay there. So again, these days, to avoid any strain on my neck, because I had pinched a nerve by holding my head too far sideways, I hold myself more square on, put the bow up, and just draw in a circular movement until I get here. And I initiate the release with the left hand, like that, okay? And when you do that, you'll get your hits, okay? Initiate the release by pressing forward. Back in a minute. You know, my friends, I find that every arrow shoots differently. And, so a 600 spine will shoot different than a 500. And also I find that every bow shoots different. They all have their own personality. So there's no set way of saying, oh yeah, just hold it this way and do this or do that. What I'm saying to you is always point right at that target, find out where the arrow goes. If it goes to the left, adjust your aim to the right. If it goes to the right, adjust to the left. It's as simple as that. You have to let the bow shoot where it wants to shoot. You just go for the ride. Little press forward, and your hand will just stay there. That's so you get a smooth release by gently pressing forward. It's a great hobby on a cold winter's night. Good hits. Can't be bothered to take the camera down. But I'll be back in a minute. Just going to go get my arrows. You know, guys, I find that for some arrows, I have to hold the arrow a foot and a half off to the right of the target. In other arrows, in other bows, I almost can point the arrow at the target. Maybe not quite, but there's quite a difference. You just got to experiment. That's all you can do. I don't think there's a set answer to it, you know. It's an art. I know my beard always goes sideways these days, so I have to comb it straight after I shoot. And no, it doesn't pull. There's a big difference in a light bow and a heavy bow also, I'll tell you that. Paradox is a big deal, you know. I used to think that the heavy arrow would bring, or heavy point would bring the tip around more. But now what I'm thinking is that it's really the weaker arrow, and it bends off the bow, and when it goes past the bow, that's when it starts to do the flick. So it's not so much bringing it around with a heavy point as the paradox, as it bends this way, it's going to want to bend that way, and that way, and that way, you know. Okay? So that's what's going on. I don't think it's so much the heavy weight as it is the flex in the shaft that causes it to go around. A lot of thinking goes on in archery. If you can't think, you're not going to make it. Just for fun. Just so you know that we've got the black Bart down here as a target, but anyhow, you know, we're hitting it. It's just I can't be bothered taking the camera down all the time. Okay, back in a minute. Another thing that's a good thing to do when we're doing our archery is to reach out, reach towards the target. It's sort of looking at it, you know, you put it up, but you reach out and draw against that. Need to have the pressure between the hands balanced, you know. And just know I don't care if the cock feather's against the bow or not. It's better if it's not, but I don't care if it's not. So that's basically it, you know. Press it on, ring it around, touch that little spot right there. Don't forget that spot. That's how you find it. It's a real spot. And if you do that, you start to get some hits. I got some hits just now. Back in a minute. Okay, guys, let's just run over what we've been doing tonight. So we want to reach out. We want to put the target in the window. We want to draw around until we touch the magic spot. And that's about it. So we look at the target, put it up, and we let go. And when you do that, if you practice for a while, you'll get your hits. Anyhow, guys, have a good week, have a good night, have a good life. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.